Welcome to this week's edition of our current affairs program, Energy Today. And Energy Today is a program put together to bring to you all issues relating to power, gas, and oil sectors of the Nigerian economy. Over the time, you recall Nigeria is endowed with large oil, gas, and hydro and solar power resources. It has a potential to generate over 12-point-something million or 1,000 megawatts of electric power from existing plants that are on ground already. But most of the time, we see that this is not reliable. It's not achievable. What has been the result? What has been the problem involving power generating in the country? Successive government, right from the days of the military president of Ibrahim Badamasu Babangida, put up policy, put up strategy, put up issues, put up strategies that would, by now, would have getting Nigeria out of the dark days. We talk of DFRI. That was another body that will have, take light generating power and also you to the public, back to the grassroots. But along the line, it has not been. Of recent, we heard of some amount of money, over $16 billion was involved equally in power generation. Yet, Nigeria don't seem to get that. And the economy is biting. People who are who have businesses that could use this energy to topple the economy, their resources, are not finding it difficult. Rather, are not finding it easy. Rather, what we see in our homes and streets and industries is generators. So, what is the source of all this? Why are we having all these things? Tonight, or this evening also, we are going to look at these issues and some other things that probably we'll call the way forward. My name is Chris Mario. Before we come to the discussion proper and introduce my guest, let us watch a report.
The sound of generating sets, especially those popularly known as I Pass My Neighbor, is what greets you when you arrive in Pape, a suburb of the FCT. In spite of claims by the Abuja Electricity Distribution Company, AEDC, that it is poised to improving electricity supplies in the Federal Capital Territory, the Electricity Distribution Company appears to have failed in its promise, as some FCT residents say the electricity supply has been a major challenge to them. Recounting their ordeal, they say they are paying for power they do not consume.
I'm not going to say we don't enjoy the lights. We dey pay darkness bill, not the lights bill we dey pay. Because in the really time we need the light, especially in the evening when we are back from work. That is when they will take the light.
We don't have lights, regular like that. I don't think. Just like 1 hour light. I will bring it 9 o'clock in the night. They will take it, let's say 12 o'clock.
No light there for 3 weeks now. So people say that is Babambola that went to transformer and they also take one of two things. It makes them to not give us light since that 3 weeks. So we are suffering for light.
Over 2-3 weeks now, we've not gotten light in my area.
We've not been having light for some time now, and they've brought the bill already. They just brought for 2 days now, and normally before we, maybe by tomorrow now, they'll start coming to cut the light.
Since 2 weeks now, I never enjoyed the public lights.
The Minister of Power Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, had earlier said the federal government has approved an intervention plan to improve the distribution of electricity in Nigeria.
Government has approved an intervention plan to allow us also take up the unutilized 2,000 megawatt. Our role is to continue to see what government can do to enable private sector to do its work.
In their usual manner, the residents call for proactiveness on the part of government towards achieving a steady power supply across the country.
Let them look into it very, very well, because the masses are suffering in public concerning light.
They should look onto this light problem, because light is very important for us.
We want them to give us light so that we will continue paying our NEPA bill the way we do it, because no one will be happy and spend his money without seeing the result.
Government should intervene in the light issue because we are not getting enough light.
I would like the government to at least please help us talk to the NEPA people at least. They should be trying to check around the poles and other things before they should, in case, so that they'll be able, the light will be constant.
May they just help us to adjust it. At least light is better for everybody.
When the desirable is not available, the available becomes the desirable. This is the saying that best describes the situation of residents in the Mpape community who have resorted to taking solace in the use of power generating sets, popularly known as I Pass My Neighbor. Oluwatoyin Yusuf, ITV News, Abuja.
Welcome back. Yes, that is the state of the Nigerian power problem in the country. We want to look at those issues involved there, like our respondent rightly set out, and some other issues involved that are not known to us here. With me in the studio to take this program, this each topic, is no less a person than an energy expert in the field, the person of Dr. Segun Ijagbemi. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you watched the report?
Yes.
Yes. And that is the cry of most Nigerians. What is your take on that?
Well, that is a representative sample of what you find in most rural areas. Because we have shown an area that really reflects the majority Nigerians where they live. And you will know that the Nigerian population itself is a critical element in our development. Nigeria is proud to announce its size to the world as a giant of Africa because of the size of the population and the rate of increase. And with all these potentials, how much of it is being met with the current energy mix? And that's where you have the deficiency to meet the needs of the people. I think by the current projection, what Nigeria needs should be in the neighborhood of 40,000 megawatts. Yes. And we have a total capacity of about 12,000, out of which only 4,000 or thereabout is being produced at the maximum. Yes. And then sometimes the real one that goes to the public is about 2,000. And that's why you find the crisis about people complaining for days and for weeks they cannot get electricity. The problem you see and what you saw on the screen there is a true reflection of the kind of materials that are available in Nigeria. You see, there is a need to have a fundamental address at the energy system in order to be able to solve the problem. Most of what you have in Nigeria are materials that are sourced from so many countries. And some of them are not interoperatable. They don't operate easily with each other. And so with a little weather condition like lightning or ordinary rain, you find that most of this system cannot sustain it. And so they have to switch off the electricity because of the quality of the materials that are being used to power the system. The system is not powered on a long-term strategic foundation that can, that anybody can go there and find it to have strong integrity. So people just go power the system to sustain the contract that they have just secured from government, and as soon as they can just on the light, they run away with their profit. And so
let me take you back this way. Where are we coming from as far as in the power sector is concerned in this country? Has there been, because from what we see, successive government has been able to put a lot of things in order. Why are we not getting it right?
the fundamental problem is not different from the other sectors of the economy, which is the problem of corruption.
Okay.
You see, when we know the truth, we do not go by the truth.
Okay.
Since the truth does not give us the maximum profit.
Okay.
In 2004, for example, I was part of the Senate Committee on Energy that went to understudy Europe.
Okay.
And we found that even on certain rivers, like River Olt, there are about 11 dams on River Olt alone.
Okay.
And from just one room, they can monitor what is being produced by each of the dams.
Okay.
And this production is sent out of the country because it's more than what is needed.
All right.
And it is sent to the what they call European grid.
Okay.
This grid is a non-stop network that is not owned by any specific country, but is regulated centrally by Europe.
Okay.
So when you produce anything and you supply to this grid, your production is measured without any human intervention. So if you produce 20, you are paid 20. I mean, nobody is even aware of the transaction. So the level of corruption is zero. And the motivation is there because they produce and they get paid. So we understudied this and we recommended that NEPA should cease to be just one body for the whole nation. There's a need to unbundle NEPA and then have units just like they had there that will be responsible for production. You can even encourage local government to produce power. You can encourage individuals like Dangote to go into power production. Regions with excess of gas can have people that can invest in the sector that can turn it to power. So there will be motivation because whatever you produce, you get returns. And so that is how the European system is maintained. There are several people emerging every day to produce power into the grid system, and they are rewarded as they are produced. And so the team enjoyed their stay and they came back. And we gave them about 34-page report that explained how the stepwise development was made in Europe between particularly the eastern part of Europe that were not part of the European Union. As soon as they joined the European Union, they were to enjoy all the benefits of being in the Union, including constant power supply. So they may not be able to pay at day one, but there's a stepwise way of increasing their income, standard of living, and enabling the society to be able to pay for the new level of the standard that they are enjoying. And that's how gradually the thing becomes universal across Europe. So all of these things were documented and they were brought to Nigeria. And thank God, as soon as they arrived in Nigeria, the name of the NEPA was changed to PACN. And similitude of what was recommended were implemented. The NEPA was unbundled. Production began to be separated from distribution and so on and so forth. But the idea of encouraging individuals to now go into production, they were not emphasized. And the people that came were rewarded. One of them was made Minister of Power Resources. The other one was made Director General of BPE. So it is time for us now to see that there's a need for fundamental way of addressing this energy. We have potentials in Nigeria that we can exchange for energy. Now we have just done what we call currency swap with China. We can do energy swap with countries that have knowledge of energy, like South Korea. They have very good knowledge of energy. That's why you have KEPCO helping us in Nigeria. KEPCO is responsible for most of what we produce now. If they are given the room to really flourish and bring in their technology to from the beginning, from the grass to the roof of the technology of power production, so that they can bring in everything that can empower in the hydro sector, in the solar sector, in all the wind sector. We will have an increase in all of this and have a good mix that can give us 24 hours of electricity. You know, we need to create that same kind of grid that is available elsewhere, from where individual cities can now tap, you know, and then have constant power. You know, we need to create a very stable structure of networks, you know, that network the homes with the stations in a way that hides electricity from the public and is not subject to weather and or human attack the way we suffer it here. Yes. And then even from the human dimension, you have elements from the regulatory authorities that are also attacking the customers. You know, I have an incident whereby NEPA officials approached my residence and said that they were changing all the old meters around the zone, and because they were already reflecting errors, and that within a day or two they will remove them. And I told them, my meter is still working. Look at the amount of credit I still have, yes. And I don't have all. They say no, we are changing everywhere, and I'm a law-abiding citizen. So I allowed them to remove my meter. That was on the 22nd of February this year. You can't believe it. Up to today, there is no meter coming. And the next thing I saw were bills, about 170,000, that I have incurred bills without meter. And I said, my meter was working before you came to jack them off my house. And I was smart enough to take the picture of a working meter as well as the date on which you came. So these are some of the things that the public are also going through because of corruption. The man who came wants to be bribed so that they will not remove your meter. They want to be bribed so that they don't bring estimated bills. You know, so this issue of corruption is the one that are so permeating everywhere. And because we don't know who to blame, we say it's the head of state that is not fighting corruption. Everybody below him, they are corrupt. And so there is a solution that only one man cannot provide. Only if you are blaming the head of state for the corruption going on in the power sector, then you will never get the solution. So the problem is to address the issue of corruption. When we have corruption-free society, we will have enough funds to revitalize the entire energy sector and then get the best available practitioner in the world to bring the technology to Nigeria, and then we exchange it with what we have. We have crude oil. Okay. You know?
You look at this other angle, you discover that there are states that have ventured into producing power now. We know of some states down the south, the Suki, but their limitation is that, even in the north, their limitation is that they can't generate power, or they can't distribute within themselves, even because of the policy of everything must be handed over to the national grid, and their distribution will not take place. Is that what should be done, or is that part of what you found out when you went out and come out with the white paper you're talking about?
What we found out was that there was something like an internet network that is freely available for you, from which you can buy. Okay. You know, this network is owned by European Union. If you have something to produce, like on a website, you have it on your system, you develop your system, and you link yourself to the website. Everybody in the world can see what you have. So the same thing, when you have this power, someone will be able to assess what you are producing. There's a box that measures the quantity that is released to the grid. In your office, there's a meter that is measuring your output. You don't need to lobby the minister or lobby the director general to pay your money. So they know if they are buying from you at 10 naira, they are selling to the public at 11 naira. So they use 1 naira to be the servicing kit to service the system. So everybody is on open field. If you don't pay your bill, nobody even visits your house. From their office, they can disconnect you and give you charges if you want to now pay the bill. So everything there's a horizontal way of enhancing capacity. Okay. But whereby pockets of corruption is loaded here and there. And then because I know you is there, because you are from a particular region is there, we prefer this one, and then we will discourage the other one for political reason. It is until we remove all of this and center everything policy we are making on Nigeria on the national interest. That is the only way we can get it right. And that's why these 12 pillars of oath of justice must prevail party becomes critical to everything we are doing. You know, it becomes critical even to the man who is going to check meter. He has to swear an oath that he will not take 1 naira from consumers. He has to swear an oath. So the oath is from the big marketers to the big distributors to the big producers. I will not produce 2,000 megawatt and tell the government I produce 5,000. Yes. And then I will share the balance of 3,000 with officials. All of this has to be established in oath. When we take this oath, everywhere will be sanitized. Okay. And that's this. We don't have to have money to get this power. We have enough resources in Nigeria that can be used to do a swap. You know, we have already done the currency swap and see it is going to work. So we can do energy swap. There is no point that Nigeria should even be exporting crude oil. It's an insult that we cannot process all the oil before we sell them. You know, we are losing about 90% of the profit to selling crude oil instead of selling processed materials. So all of these are the things that are going to go into the planning, you know, under the Justice Motive Party. We will not waste any resource. You know, there will be an integrated outlook. Whatever we cannot do, we use what we have to swap for it, and then bring the technology of today to Nigeria. And then all the system of networking, degree system, all of them has to be totally overhauled. Whenever we have electricity, we must have electricity. If there's going to be power outage, then it has to be well announced. And then people that will not have power should be well notified in advance that in the next 3 days or 1 day or 1 hour, you will not have electricity. That is how to show respect to consumers. Not that somebody is doing this industry that's supposed to be producing day and night. I mean, they cannot. So this lack of energy is part of what makes governance very, very difficult. Because if you don't provide energy, how do you want people to maximize their energy and effort and sweat? You know, there's no light to work, so they go to sleep. And some of them find the darkness as the workshop for evil action. They go into kidnapping and armed robbery because of the prevalence of darkness. Look at the good works being done in Lagos State, that they provide light on the street and that has reduced the rate of crime. So many things are there that is to be beneficial to us when we have energy.
Yeah, but we look at it. If you go back the line, the ECN, Electricity of Nigeria, Company of Nigeria those days, it seems to be stable at that time. What along the line get to where we are today that we experience darkness? Is it a result of population increase of what is that or the maintenance, the sustenance of wherever we are generating this power from, what is no longer maintained?
Well, the demand level has been on the increase.
Okay.
The level of economic growth and the outlook of the pre-colonial period cannot be compared to what we have today. The level of civilization. Look at the gadgets that we are using.
Civilization cannot carry the production as long.
It cannot. So there is a need to run with technology, to run with the age that we are in now. Okay. We cannot just operate behind the rest of the world. So we must be on the alert to ensure that whatever we are doing in Nigeria is able to meet the needs of our people and to use the technology of today. We don't go out there to go and, when they unbundled some equipment from maybe Germany or Japan, then our officials will rush there to go and get refurbished things that will now still stand as looking something that they launched with a lot of fanfare in Africa. This is the worst damage that you can do to Africans. You know, we have enough resources to stand and then say we need these qualities of material. So that's why the nature of governance should be an integrated one, whereby people don't just jump from Nigeria to go and buy anything. Before you go out, you have to do a lot of investigation. Where can we get the best deal? So you inform people that are part of the government, that are outside there, to look for the information. You know, they can give you like 3 options. We have the same materials being produced in Brazil, another one being produced in Canada, and another one being produced in South Korea. So we compare and contrast and ask all of them to go and make presentation. So from there you can, because there is no corruption, you can now close your eye and say this is the best choice for Nigeria. And then when they don't do the right thing, you can tell them and then sanction them. So, but where there is corruption, even when you have already executed a project, the contractor know that half of the money were through backdoor, they flew out through backdoor. They will not do the right thing, and everybody will be on television polishing what is not worth it.
Okay. Now, thank you for this wonderful exposition. Maybe your final word.
My final word is that better days are here already in Nigeria. Situation where multi-billion naira projects that are engaged in under this energy, and you can hear the amount of money that federal government said may have even been lost in previous regime. They were tracing 16 billion to, they tracing other billions to previous regimes. You know, the money that Nigeria has wasted on energy is too much. You know, it's too much. And it's only this oath that can prevent people from stealing from 1 naira upwards, not talk of a billion. You can't steal billion under these 12 pillars of oath and not fall down and die. So we need to engage this oath in every contractor. You know, if you are a contractor, you take the oath that you will not accept and you will never give bribe. So if you are a government official, you take the same oath. This is how to sanitize the system. That's why justice must be party is a timely intervention, not only to bring justice and judgment to Nigeria, but through Nigeria to Africa and the rest of the world.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ego. We are grateful you are our guest today. We look forward to have you some other time again to expand your knowledge, invest your knowledge on how we can do it better in Nigeria as far as the energy issue is concerned. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Viewers, this is how much we can take for today. Join us again, God's willing, next week for another edition. My name is Chris Murray.